Welcome back. You're still watching tonight, and it's time for Data Point. I want us to focus on some of the issues regarding the counties. Let's begin by having a look at the amounts that the counties are supposed to be receiving. You will recall that before the Finance Bill 2024 was rejected, the counties had been allocated 400.1 billion shillings. But because of the withdrawal, the National Treasury proposed to the National Assembly to reduce that allocation by 20 billion shillings. And that is what the National Assembly amended, that the Division of Revenue bill to be reading 380 billion shillings for the counties. But the Senate has insisted that it sticks with the initial figure of 400.1 billion shillings, saying that that cannot be altered. But now what is happening is that because of that standoff between the Senate and the National Assembly, there's a standoff on the Division of Revenue Act. It had been enacted, but now it cannot continue to be implemented because already there's that amendment that is going on. The County Allocation of Revenue Act, this is the law that distributes the resources. For instance, if you allocate 400.1 billion shillings, the County Allocation of Revenue Bill is what shares across the 47 counties, and therefore the disbursement schedule cannot be implemented for the current year because, again, those two first documents have challenges in Parliament. Now, let's take a look at something else that the Attorney General advised the county government as well as the control of budget that they can go ahead to release 50% of the equitable allocation based on the previous year's allocations, meaning that they can receive based on what Division of Revenue Act was in 2023 and the County Allocation of Revenue Act of 2023. But now the question is, once you hit 6 months, which will be 50% of those resources, what should happen? Why to find this country that Parliament is yet to resolve that particular question of those two crucial laws? Now, there has been delayed disbursement that county governors have been complaining about. For instance, for the month of July, August, September, October, there are resources that are supposed to be sent to the counties. But as we speak, the resources meant for July 2024 were disbursed in the month of September, 2 months late. The resources for August 2024 were disbursed last week, which is 30.8 billion shillings. It was discharged or released on 17th of October, again, 2 months late. But now the resources that should have gone to the counties on the 15th of September, 30.8 billion shillings, and on the 15th of October, 32.7 billion shillings, they are still pending, meaning that, for instance, September is a month late, October is a few days late, just over 9 days late. Now, if you have to look at the resources that should have gone to the counties for this financial year starting July to October, it should have been 127.19 billion shillings, but what has been received by the counties is 63.5 billion shillings, meaning there are another 63.5 billion shillings that are still pending at the counties, and that becomes a challenge. Now, for this situation to be resolved, remember in the financial year 2023-2024, the counties had been allocated 385 billion shillings as their equitable share of the revenue. And the National Assembly new figure of 2024-2025 has been 380 billion shillings. The Senate insists it has to be 400.1 billion shillings. So were the country to go with the figure of 380 billion shillings, it would actually be 5 billion shillings less compared to the previous financial year. And therefore, for this to be resolved, the Constitution allows the formation of a mediation team, which I want us to look at now. Of course, the impact of that is that there are delayed salaries, there are delayed payments to suppliers. This is what eventually becomes pending bills. Counties are having to borrow from banks, especially to clear urgent issues, for instance, the salaries for workers. And of course, some of these loans or this borrowing comes with a cost of the interest that has to be paid, even if it's on short-term loans. Now, for this to be resolved, there is 30 days allowed in the Constitution for mediation from the date that both the National Assembly and the Senate form a committee to mediate between those two figures. If you have to look at this, if committee and the houses agree, the bill is assented into law. And if the committee or houses do not agree, then that bill would be defeated, meaning that the counties would have no framework of sharing revenue. But of course, this is something that can be avoided as soon as the National Assembly comes back from recess and they're able to form their side of the mediation team, as well as get the similar number from the Senate to continue to look at that. But that's the situation that counties are having to deal with at the moment, with 2 months of disbursement still delayed from the National Treasury. That's data point for this week. But now to another story. The 3-judge bench hearing cases